you got an awful podcast, Jesse. It's PODAWFUL, so it's aptly named. It's an awful podcast. Yeah, all podcasts are terrible. Fuck all podcasts. Let's go bully the internet. This is PODAWFUL.
PODAWFUL sucks.
When you're sitting back and you wanna die, PODAWFUL makes that worse. Government needs, they won't let you fly. PODAWFUL quench your thirst.
You know what? You're not funny. I want to really kick your ass.
I'm in that ass, bro.
What's up, guys? Jesse PS. You can friend me on Facebook. Facebook.com/Mark Zuckerberg's Asian Dildo 2. Facebook.com/Mark Zuckerberg's Asian Dildo 2. Yes, for real. I was banned again. Thanks, Zuck. Thank you for zucking me once again. I'll talk about that in the Pod After show tonight, I guess. In fact, let me write that down. I'm going to write that down so I remember to talk about it. Zucked again. We'll tell you about it later, but I'm banned from my main account. I'm on my alt account. It's called Jesse Smith. Facebook.com/Mark Zuckerberg's Asian Dildo 2. Friend me on there, okay? If you need to get at me, that's where you get at me now. We'll talk all about it in the after show later on why that happened, because it's infuriating. Tonight, however, is all about podcasts. Now, believe it or not, on a show like this, even I have rules where I don't talk about certain things, I don't do certain things on the show. A lot of podcasts like to tell you that they're real and uncensored. 100% real. Live and in charge. What is that shit? It's a podcast. No shit, it's uncensored. You choose. Who's going to censor you? The FCC isn't involved here. You're your own man. Any podcast you listen to that is censored, that guy, after saying the words he chose to say as an adult man, then went back and edited. He made sure those were gone now. So when they tell you how uncensored and raw and unrestrained comedy talk they are, they're just, what does that mean? It's not radio. There's no rules anymore, and it's making me fucking sick. I'm getting so tired of it. Some of the worst offenders out there are some of the top podcasts. So tonight, I'd like to give you, for starters, an unsubscribe list, okay? I'm going to tell you the podcast it's time we give up on. It's time, and it's not a sour grapes thing. I know that the comment section for this on YouTube and so on is going to be filled with a bunch of people yelling, jealous, sour grapes, you suck too. Yeah, I get it. I know. That's why I do the live thing. I don't even care about the podcast version. I hate the name of this show. PODAWFUL. I hate that pod there. I wish I could just crumple it up and throw it away, but I've been doing this shit for 7 goddamn years, and so I'm stuck with that fucking name. Later in the show, I'm going to introduce you to a podcast goon, somebody you've never heard of, trust me. He's one of these low-level, he's like me. Nobody's ever heard of this fucker. But he fucking sucks. I've been keeping my eye on this motherfucker for a long time, and I'm very excited to start doing some revealing. Oops, I missed where's my thing? There it is. Revealing. No, what the hell? Revealing. Podcasts suck. Guys, sound effects are gay. All that stuff is stupid. Okay? It all comes from an older time, a more radio-y time. And look, I say that. Maddox, we're part of the Madcast Media Network. Maddox loves the sound effects. I'll be honest with you. If I had an iPad and some programs here or something, a laptop going on where I could play sound effects, I absolutely would. But you know why I use this, the Miami Sound Machine? It was to make fun of that kind of shit. It was to make fun of that stuff. This whole show is about making fun of the people who go out there and do the stuff similar to what we do. I mean, do we branch off that course all the time? Absolutely. But that was the original intention of PODAWFUL. That's where the name comes from. So every time in the fucking comments section, one of you motherfuckers say, it's aptly named. Like, I didn't name it. What do you think? Do you think I was assigned this name because I started in 2009? They go, okay, we still have some pod names left. Let's see, Pod Zeppelin has been taken. What are some of the other ones? The Oddcast podcast. When you just had to rhyme the word pod with something. I'm from that era of podcasts. I started a week before Mark Maron. And by the way, unsubscribe list number 1, Mark Maron. What the fuck? If you're still listening to that because you're a comedy fan, there's something broken inside your brain. That show has never been funny. Ever. It does not belong in the comedy section. I understand why it is. I understand the confusion over it. Mark Maron is ostensibly a comedian. Of course, you know how we feel about stand-up comedians on this show. But he's ostensibly a comedian, and he brings on comedians, although now he brings on all sorts. I mean, fucking Barack Obama was on that goddamn show. The stand-up comedian of presidents. He brings on all these comedians, and then they talk about the business of comedy, but they don't do any comedy. Back in season 1 of PodAwful, I realized that show that came out a week after mine was blowing up big time. And I go, I'm listening to it, and I'm not laughing. I want to hear, if I'm listening to the comedy section on iTunes, I want to hear something that makes me laugh. Mark Maron doesn't, pow, I shit my pants. That doesn't make me laugh. He's an old man talking to sour, depressed shitholes of human beings, road comics, people who are flying around the country, driving around the country, living out of motel rooms. These awful human beings, they have nothing to offer you. Hey, how'd you get into the business? Well, I started in my local comedy club at a young age, and then I kept at it, and then I got lucky a couple times, and I met the right people. No shit. We don't need any more of these stories. Aren't we done with that? Unsubscribe from Mark Maron. That's my number 1 suggestion. But I'm here to tell you about something else. Let's actually check in with the chat room before we do. We're live, as we are every Sunday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time over at PodAwful.tv. We've got the live video stream, and I do recommend you come check out our live version. I am only interested in the live version of this. I don't care about the YouTube shit. I don't care about the podcast shit. I only enjoy the live scenario we've got going on here. So please, I recommend to you, join us. We've got the live video stream. We've got the chat room that we call the Chaz room over at podawful.tv. Let's see what they're saying in there. Hello, they're saying you need to pay a gay guy. Media networks are gay. Okay. Sour grapes, says Dunder Chief. All right, Scott. Well, you do a lot of appearing on this Sour Grape show, so we'll see what the people have to say about that. What's up, faggots? They're saying, guys, we're real and uncensored. We say faggot. Every time somebody claims I'm trying to be a shock jock or that I'm an edgelord, which is just the new version of saying that. It's like saying, instead of prank, they say troll now. It's the internet version of it. Every time people say that shit, I roll my eyes because I don't think this stuff is shocking. I'm just talking the way I talk to everybody I know in real life, to my friends, you know? I'm talking the way I talked when I had friends. We used to call each other faggot. We used to say dirty jokes and shit. I don't know. That's how I grew up. If you are shocked by this, if you say I'm an edgelord or that I'm shocking, I'm a shock jock to you, that says more about you than it does about me, homie. Okay? You can also call into the show. The Skype name, PodAwful. The phone line, 480-38-AWFUL. 480-38-AWFUL. Skype name, PodAwful, if you want to call in and let me know what we need to be unsubscribing from. I want to talk about one of the biggest comedy podcasts out there. This is a podcast I've been listening to for a long time. I've been doing some unsubscribing lately, okay? One of the oldest podcasts I listen to is Comedy Bang Bang. When I started listening to it, it's called Comedy Death Ray Radio. Now it's called Comedy Bang Bang. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. If you have listened to a comedy podcast, you have heard of Comedy Bang Bang, one of the top ones out there from one of the top podcast networks, Earwolf. In fact, the guy behind this podcast invented the podcast network, Earwolf. I'm sick of this show. It's become worse and worse and worse as the years have worn on. You know what most podcasts do? Most podcasts find a groove, and then that's good. They find their groove, they move within it, and then they never change. But the times and the world around them does. And they stay in that groove, and that groove stays in the fucking past. PodAWFUL, we try to keep things up to date. We try to switch things up once in a while. I try out new shows. I do new concepts and stuff. We've changed co-hosts. We've changed total formats. The studio. I like to change the studio around for no goddamn reason all the time, just to give it some new feels. Not Comedy Bang Bang. Oh, no. They figured out what we do. We bring on a comedian. We talk to that comedian. And then we bring on another one as a character. I've had so many comedians who wanted to come on this show ask me, so do I play a character? Would you mind if I play a character? I think I've allowed that one time, if memory serves me correctly. No, I don't want you to play a character. That's not funny. We know it's fake, okay? It's almost never that funny. There are very few people who do it well. Now, I'll admit, I am telling you to unsubscribe from Comedy Bang Bang. I'll admit there are a few guests on there that elevate the show and do make that concept funny. Paul F. Tompkins, very good at it, you know? He's one of these guys. It's a funny show when he goes on there. Or sometimes it's a guest with good chemistry. This is Jason Mantzoukas, who I've met in real life. He's from the New York comedy scene here. Very funny when he goes on. But for the most part, the show is nothing but an ad. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to advertisements. And I don't like advertisements in my show. I don't do them anymore. We don't do sponsors. A lot of people would say it's because no one would sponsor you, Jesse. That's where you're wrong. You don't know how dumb these companies are. They really are very stupid. Very easy to trick them into giving me money. Instead, what we do here is we offer bonus content, and people pay for that. When you listen to other shows, they want you to buy products that are garbage and you don't need. Case in point, check out this episode. This is a recent episode of Comedy Bang Bang that I was listening to. Episode 490 with Lucia Anello and Paul Downs, okay? They're two of the people behind the show Broad City, another show that I know a lot of the people that work on that show. They just had that movie come out, Rough Night, with Scarlett Johansson. It's like, it's Scarlett's turn at comedy. Take a listen to this. This is Comedy
This episode of Comedy Bang Bang is brought to you by Squarespace. Whether you need a portfolio to showcase
good! Well, at least it starts right away with that.
your work, a store to sell your products and services, or a blog to share your ideas, Squarespace gives you everything you need to make your next move into a reality. Not to mention, with Squarespace's beautifully designed templates and customizable features, creating a beautiful website is a simple and intuitive process. Simply add and arrange your content with the click of a mouse.
Why is this more than just, hey, this episode's brought to you by Squarespace, squarespace.com. Go check it out. We're now 24 seconds into the show. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but keep in mind, it's not the only ad. We're going to go further with that.
Start your free trial today at squarespace.com and enter offer code BANGBANG to get 10% off your first purchase.
Now, who out there, by the way, hits the skip button? Most podcast players, most phones now have that button where you can skip 15 or 30 seconds ahead. If it's 30 seconds, congrats. That was exactly 30 seconds long, that fucking ad. I can't stand listening to this shit anymore. Okay, Squarespace is a garbage company. We have advertised for Squarespace before. Guess what? They're shit. Squarespace is shit. Don't use a Squarespace site. It's a ripoff. You can do the same thing for free elsewhere, and it's very easy to do. Okay? Squarespace is a legitimate scam company, and all podcasts use it as a sponsor because they give you a shit ton of money. A shit ton. Depending on how large you are. Look, back when my show was even smaller than it is now, when I ran Squarespace ads, I believe they were paying me $400 a spot. $400. And I had no audience. $400 a spot. This is a company that has ads in the New York City subway system, had an ad during the Super Bowl, for Christ's sake. They've got money to just throw away because dummies are falling for it. It's a scam. Let's keep listening. Here's their shitty intro.
Comedy bang bang, 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 comedy.
By the way, I see you mocking me in the chat room for having advertised for Casper mattresses. Casper, I will say, is not a scam, but Casper also did not pay me. I specifically went to them and asked for them to just give me all I wanted was a free bed. I moved into this new apartment. I didn't have a mattress anymore because I got rid of it from my last apartment. And I said, you know what? We need a bed. I'm just going to make that happen. And I just called up Casper and I said, hi, I'd like one free mattress, please. And they said, what? And I said, I will advertise your fucking stupid mattresses for no money if you just give me a mattress. Most podcasters that they advertise on, they give them a mattress and money. I said, no, I don't want your money because I don't want you to tell me what to say on the show. I've been there before, man. I have a lot more integrity than these other guys. All I wanted was to scam a scam company out of a free mattress. It turns out, not a scam. Pretty good mattress. Decent priced. If you can find better, though, get better.
When the tip of the chip slips into the dip, your fun radar goes blip in the location of the dip. Welcome to Comedy Bang Bang.
Ha ha ha.
Hey, thank you to Dash Parrot.
Is anyone laughing at those? Every episode of the show, he starts off with a suggested catchphrase for the show because they fell into that groove. It's been years now. They're in that groove. Are we laughing? I used to do that same shit, by the way. I used to start the show by going, I think it was before he was doing it, because it used to be that he started the show by saying, what's up, hot dog? And that was his catchphrase, and they replaced it. Back in the day, I used to start the show by going, hello, pod people, welcome to Pod Off the Program TV. And then originally I said Super Show, but then I would say Sandwich Girl or something. I would just replace it with nonsense. And then even before that, I would start the show with, today's show is brought to you by My Dad's Farts. Smell them if you got them, boys. And then that's how the show would start. I mean, I did this shit way before Comedy Bang Bang. Not sour grapes. I'm just saying there was a time where that was funny, and we are now past it. I didn't mind that he did it at all. What I mind is that he's still doing it. It's a crutch. And he's a bad host. Scott Aukerman is a bad host.
Paradise for that wonderful catchphrase submission. By the way, step up the catchphrase submissions. It seems like the same three guys. Dash Paradise is new, but it seems like the same three guys do most of the heavy lifting in that. And I don't want to use, the Voblex all the time. Welcome to the show.
It's very interesting to me. I'm going to skip ahead on this. It's very interesting to me that the same few guys keep suggesting the catchphrases for him. Which makes me go, like, is their audience as big as everyone thinks? I have to imagine it is. They do these world tours and stuff. But why is it that only a couple dudes are ever suggesting those things? If my show was that big and I did something like that, I feel like I'd have suggestions constantly from people. What's going on there? I don't understand it. Anyway, he's interviewing these two people that made this stupid movie, Rough Night, with Scarlett Johansson. I've skipped ahead to a random point in it. Let's see what they're saying.
Enemy of the show.
She is an enemy of the show.
An enemy of the show.
Yeah. She is our arch enemy. We have Kate McKinnon, friend of the television show, has certainly never been on the podcast.
So they're listing people who are in the movie Rough Night. Now, that's going to be important. Keep paying attention to this. This sounds boring. Trust me.
Certainly about.
Certainly she is a friend of the television show.
Yes.
It is not disputed.
Does not do podcast. No.
And we also have Zoe Kravitz.
Yes.
And various other people, including Ty Burrell, friend of the television show, not friend of the podcast.
Again.
Demi Moore, indifferent to both the television show and the podcast. So Rough Night, guys, is this a sequel to The Dark Knight?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and this is what he does. Like, Scott plays into the fact that he's not very good at hosting. He stumbles over everything. He never knows what to ask the guests or anything. This is an interesting episode, and this has been happening more and more with Comedy Bang Bang, where they start putting out an extra episode in the week. They usually only do one episode a week. Hi, we got somebody on the line. Who's this?
Hey, Jesse.
Oh, hey, it's Caleb. Hi, Caleb.
How's it going?
Pretty good.
I just want to call in to say that, all podcasts are fucking garbage.
Thank
All
you.
you need is PODAWFUL.
Thank you, of course.
It's the only evolving podcast out there.
I would recommend to everybody to unsubscribe from PodAwful too. Just subscribe to us on YouTube or start watching live if you do that.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Maybe that might be the ultimate way to do it.
Yeah.
Just kill all podcasts, live shows only.
That's what I'm for. I agree. Do you listen to Comedy Bang Bang, Caleb?
God, no.
Okay. So you
What you played was the first I've ever heard, and it was fucking terrible.
Caleb, let me tell you something. What's interesting with this show is they've been doing this thing for, I mean, it could be 2 years now. I do nothing all day but listen to podcasts and watch YouTube videos in the background while I work on stuff. And
you gotta stop.
so I really know my podcast. I really do, guys. And for years now, Earwolf, Comedy Bang Bang, they've been doing this weird thing where all of a sudden 1 week they'll have they'll call it an emergency episode or something, where they'll drop an episode on a Thursday. Usually it comes out on Mondays. It's just one episode a week. Suddenly they got another episode. I believe this is one of those episodes. They just had another one of them. And I realize every time it's always in service of advertising some bullshit that's just come out. Some TV show.
How convenient.
Yeah, exactly. How convenient. Some TV show, some movie or something. And this is one of those shows. So this whole episode is just in service to promote the movie Rough Night. They bring on the director and the writer. What's that?
So it's just an ad.
The entire
emergency program is just a fucking ad.
Yes, the entire show is an ad. And I guarantee you what's going on here is, Earwolf, they're a huge company now, and they own a company called Midroll, and Midroll is one of the top providers of advertisers to podcasts, podcast sponsorships. They created this company.
Oh, wow.
So I guarantee you what's going on is the production or the company behind the movie Rough Night, they made this podcast happen. The only reason they had this extra podcast in the week is because it's an ad for this shitty fucking movie no one's going to see. Now, it happens to be that there's a lot of crossover in the types of people that wrote and directed this movie and the audience that listens to the show. A lot of comedy nerds, as they like to call themselves, listen to Comedy Bang Bang. The UCB crowd, those people, they like this stuff. And the writer and director of the show, they're UCB people. I know of them through the New York UCB scene. So there is crossover there, but the entire show is an ad for this fucking movie. And this isn't the only example of it. There's many examples of it. Then, in the middle of the episode, lo and behold, there's still more ads for other shit. There's another Squarespace ad. There's a, let me see if let me see if I can find those ads real quick.
Wrote it that way.
Met once at a party. It's produced by Jim Carrey. It's on Showtime.
Oh, yeah, this is another big one. Have you heard of this Showtime show by Jim Carrey? I'm Dying Up Here. It's all about stand-up comedy. See, they make it seem like it's shit, like, you would be interested in this, which makes sense. That's how advertising works. They make it seem like they're just letting you know about a thing you would want to know about. Oh, no, it's a fucking ad. And this shitty show about stand-up comedy is being targeted toward these comedy podcasts, too. So there's a lot of ads for it. So there's a... Think of the money these people are bringing in. Think of the fucking money they're bringing in. A Showtime show, a major motion picture, and Squarespace are all advertising on this one episode. And they
this has got to be a pretty huge bank for them.
It's giant bank for them. And they're throwing it out there in the middle of the week, just rushing it.
Wow.
The other
so they don't even give a fuck.
No, they don't give a fuck at all. And by the way, don't worry, guys. You can still donate to Earwolf. There's still a way. There's still a way to donate money to Earwolf.
Yeah, as if you fucking need to.
And
how many ads do you have to listen to before it's free?
Yeah, exactly. It'll never be. So people still donate to it. Every once in a while, at the end of the episode, he'll go, and I have to think so and so and so and so. They each donated $100 to the show. For what? Where does that money go? You guys,
what do they need?
You guys have the biggest advertisers on your show, multiples of them. You're putting out extra episodes in the week just to get more of that ad money.
They've got to have a sense, though, that this whole thing is going to dry up. So maybe they're just trying to farm it as hard as they can. Rate their listeners as hard as they can.
Look, if you had
to get
said
all
that,
the money.
If you had said that to me 2 years ago, even, I would have believed that. But I think we're now at a point where people are like, okay, podcasts are here to stay, I guess. Because now you can get major advertisers on them. 2 years ago, you wouldn't get a motion picture advertising on most podcasts. But now it's happening.
That's true. But who actually likes this, though? Who's actually consuming this and saying, that was a good show?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I can't I'm comedy nerds. I guess it's comedy nerds. I guess it's the people that think like, if I listen to this, maybe then I will become friends with the people at UCB who will then get me a job on Saturday Night Live. If that's your goal.
But they know that this shit doesn't make them funny, right?
Of course, it better not. And this is another thing Earwolf or Comedy Bang Bang is up to lately. Now this is going to get a little controversial here. This is might be a little much.
Oh, I love controversy.
This might be a little much, but I've noticed they've suddenly started trying to put a lot more black performers on the show, playing characters. I think that at some point they must have gotten criticized or at least realized like we don't have a lot of black people on the show. And
you don't want to be a target under that.
Right. You definitely don't want that finger pointed at you. So they've started bringing on these black guys. Now, there's a reason, though, that there hasn't been a lot of black performers. In fact, let me skip ahead in this episode so you can hear. There's 2 black guys on this episode. Let me skip ahead so you can hear the character and improv stylings of Zeke Nicholson and Carl Tart or something. I don't know who these people are. I've never heard of these guys before in my life, but let's take a listen.
Time and knew it would be weird. That would be like a weird science situation. If something you created online was literally...
Oh my God. I swear to God, I just skipped 30 minutes ahead and it went to an ad. That was an accident. I skipped 30 minutes of the episode and it's still an ad.
Really brought to...
You see?
Okay,
You see? That's what I'm here for. You know, I heard about a theme park that the clothing options were you have to wear a unitard but pulled down to your waist.
That's
really?
right.
I read about it in the Encyclopedia
Britannica.
You got to cover any orifice,
really
but
good.
breasts could be exposed too.
Oh, that's
So even mouths, nose, and ears have to be covered?
You do have to wear a surgical mask, like a SARS mask, sort of thing. Yeah, and
a lot
also
of people
helps
put a
when
lot
you're
of
nervous.
rules on the coaster. And my intention was never that. I personally believe coasters are the lubricant that brings people together.
Oh my God, that's
to
really
quote,
sweet.
I like that.
Oh boy, isn't that fun? Now I know.
What?
I who knows, dude? Look, I was listening to this episode before the show for a second time, by the way, and I have now unsubscribed to Comedy Bang Bang. Again, I recommend you all do the same. It is time to unsubscribe, ladies and gentlemen. We are unsubscribing. But I was listening to it, and so these 2 black dudes come on, and they're playing these characters. They're rappers. One of them is Pants the Rapper, and the other one is MC Sugar Butt. And I know just hearing a clip of it like that out of context, you're going, okay, maybe it'd be funny in context. I promise you it's not. It's not.
Well, maybe if you're 14.
Maybe if you're 14.
Sugar butt? Like, really?
Maybe if you're 14. Look, and we have that insult lobbed at us all the time and stuff, so whatever. Fine, 14-year-olds, that's fine.
Yeah.
But let me tell you what's going on. There's a reason you didn't have a lot of black performers coming on the show playing characters before. Scott Aukerman. That reason is there aren't a lot of black guys doing improv. And that's because most black dudes do stand-up, and stand-ups aren't good at improv. They don't do it. In fact, they don't like it. Black dudes are particularly good at stand-up. I would say, on the average, black guys are funnier stand-ups than white guys. That's my personal opinion. That's me.
Fair enough.
That's my opinion. That's how I feel about it. But they're really shitty improvisers generally. They don't really get it. Black comedy is not subtle. There's no wink and a nod with black comedy. It's all very over the top. It's cartoon. You know when you watch
it's very high energy.
Yes, you know when you watch
really work for improvisation.
You know when you watch Mexican TV and all their comedy is a clown? It's
right.
They're literally still laughing at clowns. It's like a step up from that. It's like it's slightly above that. Where although again, I think they're funnier when it's stand up, but that doesn't work for improv. Improv, you got to play it realistically. This whole show is characters improvising, trying to go to... It doesn't make any sense when these guys come on. They got this one guy, he keeps coming on and playing a woman named Bone Quifa. which right there is all you need. I mean, that sounds like an In Living Color skit from the 90s.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't use the term skit lightly because that is not a real comedy term. Only non-comedians use it. I'm using it right now to make fun of it because it's so not funny. This guy comes on and he goes, "Hi, I am Bone Queefa. Bone as in the thing inside a chicken leg, and queef as in a pussy fart." And he says that about 25 times an episode, and they've brought this character on more than once.
Was anyone confused about the meaning of that? No, immediately, it's pretty obvious.
At first, you go, okay, that's the joke, and that's this character's little, personality quirk. But 25 times? Are we?
Yeah,
really,
that's a little excessive. Like, come on.
Are we really going to sit through it 25 times? Yeah, it's too much. It's way too much. I like to laugh at black people, says Dunder Chief in the chat room. Dunder Chief, of course, is an Australian, so their black people are different than ours. They have what's known as Aboriginals.
Yeah, that's a little weird, huh?
Little weird, yeah. It's a little weird.
I don't know. Angie suddenly told me that she's black. I would kind of be confused.
Yeah. Chewy says, there is always huge titties on Mexican TV. Mexican TV is pretty good, in my opinion. Well, Chewy is a simple man in that regard. Mexicans are sad people, says Too Many Plastic Cups. So I don't know about that. But what I do know is their comedy is terrible. And so is the comedy of most of the iTunes Top 100 comedy podcasts, other than the few times that PodAWFUL has appeared in there. And, of course, Maddox's show Best Debate. I've got a list here of podcasts that the listeners in the chat room recommended you unsubscribe from before the show. Someone mentioned Welcome to Night Vale. I don't know if you've ever listened to the show. It's nonsense. I don't get it.
I
unsubscribe.
Listen to that. And yeah, no, don't listen to it anymore. The first portion's not bad, but after that, it's fucking terrible.
I'm willing to admit maybe I don't get it, but what's going on in there? I don't get it.
It's just basically if there was some sort of Twilight Zone NPR radio, that's it. It's right. Fun to listen to once or twice, but that's all.
Right. And then we got Joe Rogan and Bill Burr. I absolutely agree with that. Both of those guys fucking suck. Bill Burr, a lot of people go, I like the way he does his ads because he's kind of mocking them as he does it. That's a trick. Okay? That's a trick.
Yeah.
He's still taking the cash, right? How much is he mocking it? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And he must be going within their guidelines because they give you guidelines. They give you talking points.
Well, they're paying him to mock.
They're paying him to say certain things, and he must be saying them. So how much is he really mocking it?
Draw your own conclusions.
And Joe Rogan is a baby brain who's selling you retard supplements, so stop it. We get it. Yes. We get it, drugs. We get it. You're strong. Alpha brain. Yeah, stop alpha brain.
Whatever it is.
Joe Rogan and Alex Jones, same guy. If you laugh at the idea of people being into Alex Jones, then you need to laugh at you being into Joe Rogan. It's time to unsubscribe. All right, so that's my unsubscribe list for now. I do want to talk about, and Caleb, if you want to hang out, you can. I do want to talk about something that's going to get me in a lot of trouble with those 13-year-olds we were talking about out there. Definitely the number one audience for these guys, 13-year-olds. Let me talk about a phenomenon real quick of YouTubers becoming podcasters. Now, I know what a lot of people out there might be thinking. Jesse, aren't you doing YouTube and No, I'm not a YouTuber and I'm not a podcaster, okay? I simply use those platforms to put out an amazing show that is different than all those other things. Has been for a few years now a trend of YouTubers going, I could maybe make more money if I put out a podcast. Maybe my audience from YouTube will all follow me over there to iTunes or whatever. And by the way, you can subscribe to us on iTunes or your own podcatcher thing. Do that. Hit subscribe, hit 5 stars, say something nice about Dr. Pepper. But anyway, these YouTubers, have you ever watched a YouTube video? A usual one, not one of ours? They're jump cuts. They're nothing but jump cuts, which is fine for what it is. I'm not going to make that much fun of jump cuts, but there's a reason they jump cut in the middle of sentences sometimes. These are people that don't know how to talk. Pay careful attention to most YouTubers. Talking is not their strong point. Maybe they're good at fashioning together a narrative. Maybe they're good at putting together some visuals. Maybe they're good at mocking a thing, putting up a video and mocking it. But what none of them are good at, almost none of them, talking. And podcasting is uninterrupted talking for an hour or more, up to 3. This is not the realm for YouTubers, and I'm sick of this shit. Because they've got these built-in podcast audiences from their YouTube. So they are now stinking up the top 100 on iTunes, stinking up the charts for podcasters because they bring over all their 13-year-old fans who aren't really listening. They're not listening to a podcast. They just watch them on YouTube and go, all right, I'll subscribe to them on this other thing to support them. And that bumps them up in the numbers. The worst example of this, and they've already connected the dots in the chat room here. Too Many Plastic Cups says, H3H3 podcast is pure trash. Worst one I've listened to. Ladies and gentlemen, let me share with you the H3H3 podcast. Another recommend on my unsubscribe list, although I have to assume no one who watches or listens to me subscribes to them. Now, let me clarify before I start this. I am absolutely, number one, jealous of their podcast studio. They have so much money, and they have all these people working for them, and they were able to build a beautiful studio that they then went and wrecked and fucked up and have no idea what they're doing. I am jealous of that, and I'm not saying they shouldn't do their YouTube stuff. It's not for me. I'm not into it so much. They're probably fine, nice people. I wish they would stop the podcast thing, but I know why they're doing the podcast thing, and it all comes back to our favorite thing that we were just talking about, ads. They are doing 3-hour-long podcasts. This podcast is 3 hours and 7 minutes long, and they litter it with ads. The YouTube in-video ads, because they're putting this shit out on video, too. Nobody's listening to the audio version of the H3H3 podcast. They're putting out the video version, and it's littered with ads everywhere. And then on top of that, they're doing live read ads in there. And on top of that, their guest is in there to promote some bullshit. I don't let my guests promote shit when I actually bring somebody on this show. I don't care what they're up to. They're here to make funny for us. Then they get a plug at the end just because they were nice enough to come in. That's it. Not these guests. No. A 3-hour show hosted by a man with Tourette's syndrome who can't get through a single line of dialogue without screwing up one of the words. Watch any H3H3 video. He mumble mouths one of the words in his sentences every single sentence. This is the most recent episode that Steve O was on. Check this out.
See, when this hits
YouTube,
YouTube, yeah, I'm gonna
oh my god, they're gonna be fucking.
We were talking about how likes are the currency of the future,
right?
Nobody makes money on YouTube anymore. We all just come for the likes.
Oh yeah, you're not making money on you. See, this is the thing. All these guys are so scared they're not gonna make money on YouTube anymore. So what did they do? They started leaning in on this podcast thing, going, well, we can put out a 3-hour video. Most of our idiot 13-year-olds will watch it, and we can litter it with ads.
That's right. The validation, man.
Yeah, that's all that matters. So we'll take a quick break.
By the way, did that sound like a podcast to you? This is a several $100,000 studio they're sitting in right now. They put a lot of effort and money into this thing, and it's just guys. Steve-O's standing up. They're barely talking into the microphones. No one's wearing headphones, so they have no idea if they can be heard or not. I swear to God, all the time on the show, they just miss the microphones. They're not even talking into the mics. This is a 3-hour-long advertisement.
I'm gonna talk about some sponsors who make this show possible.
Yeah, of course. Cool.
But if you want,
you can go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
you can stick around.
I'll get a head start, man.
Okay, God bless you. So,
oh my god, when I get back, I'm gonna fucking crush.
So Steve-O is now talking
guys,
off mic. He's
our
talking.
Our sponsors make this show possible.
How do you just let a guy get up and talk off mic during the show? And that's like fine, and we're leaving that in. And they do edit their show. They edit this sometimes. Occasionally, they'll take a break and they'll edit it out. Why not edit that part out and go right to him doing the ad read? Which, here we go. Here's a live ad read. And I have Ad Block Plus, so you guys aren't going to see all the ads they litter this video with. But when you watch on your phone, look at the little red bar along the bottom of the screen, and you'll see yellow dot, yellow dot, yellow dot, yellow dot, yellow. I'm not kidding. They probably have 25 ads in an episode.
I actually, the sponsored parts are kind of fun for me.
Yeah, they're kind of fun.
I've been learning about really interesting products that are actually useful.
I'm Hila. Yeah. Hila. Skylar and I make fun of Hila, where we say she's a donkey or a horse, and she's always just braying. What does Hila add to this? Again, I'm sure she's a lovely woman and nice, but why is she on the podcast? I get that she was your camera lady for all your videos. All she does is go, yeah. And occasionally they put her in front of a laptop like she's looking stuff up for the show, but then they can never get it to play on the screen. They can't get the audio to play into again, they're putting thousands of dollars into this thing, and my show is run better. I'm one guy doing all of this stuff. I switch the cameras. They've got a team of guys switching cameras, and in this episode, Ethan goes, why is the camera on Hila? While Steve-O was talking. Steve-O had been talking for 20 minutes. And then all of a sudden, they realize the camera's been on Hila the whole time. And she's just sitting there like, oh, no.
We said that we feel like we're in Shark Tank.
Yeah, seriously. I always look at these products, because I'm always looking for interesting products that can, like, improve my life. Because you go to Ralph's or some shit, or Target, you don't always find, like, the interesting shit that's out there. Everything's on the internet. I didn't know what's on the internet. It's too big. Here's one we got. This one is called Quip.
Ooh.
Okay?
Nice dead air.
Where's my Quip brush?
Check this.
So this is an electric toothbrush called Quip, and this won the invention of the year. Actually, where's that fucking written? Invention of the year by Times Magazine, 2016.
That's pretty crazy.
It's kind of dope.
Ladies and gentlemen, the H3 podcast is advertising an electric toothbrush. How's that for some dead air? An electric tooth. This is not a joke. I can't have made this happen magically. This is an electric toothbrush salesman. Ethan Klein, electric toothbrush salesman with their mascot, the donkey Hila. Yeah.
So,
let me close
close the door. I'm hearing myself.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
good.
This
Leave that
toothbrush
in.
starts,
and then just cross in front of the camera. Just get up and close the door because he's hearing himself, and cross in front of the camera. You've got a team of guys. A team.
at $25, and it's electric. I don't think you need to charge it or even put a battery in it. And what's dope is you push the button, it vibrates, and then it keeps track of your brushing too.
That's super dope.
So every minute, it gives you, or 30 seconds, it gives you a little vibrate, and then it turns off after 3 minutes. It helps you keep track of your brushing. And it's actually, I'm obsessed with oral hygiene.
Okay. Leave it at that. Thanks for jumping in, Hila. He goes, I'm obsessed with oral hygiene, and Hila just leaves him hanging.
Ethan actually really is obsessed.
I'm a fucking
He brushes for an hour sometimes.
It's not that long.
Good addition,
Sometimes
Hila.
I brush so
That was the most she talked in the whole episode, and it's during the ad.
long
Sometimes
I like
you
burn my
brush
mouth.
like a whole episode. If we watch a show,
Yeah,
you'll
that's
brush
true.
the whole time, which is probably 30 minutes.
Yeah, sometimes
That's insane. If that's true, then Ethan, you got a problem, dude.
I leave the toothbrush in my mouth so long that I like it burns my mouth
Yeah, I
and my
don't know
gums.
how
but,
you do it.
What?
but I'm obsessed with oral
This is how you're selling a toothbrush to me? What?
hygiene. Bad breath and bad like mouth shit just is the biggest turnoff ever.
And there's actually results for you, because whenever we go to the dentist, I have some
Nada.
shit to do, and Ethan, nothing.
Yeah, dude. Just brush your teeth for 30 minutes. That's all
Guys,
you have
during
to
this
do.
ad, I'm going to go to the PODAWFUL
So
mini
these guys
fridge.
quip. You go to getquip.com/H3. GETQUIP.com/H3. You can get this starting at $25. I used it right before the show.
Dr.
And
Pepper.
it actually works amazingly.
Guys, Dr. Pepper actually works
It gives you that,
amazingly.
like,
You
sometimes
can
I brush,
drink it. It tastes
and
good.
you still have like schmutz.
Leave
kind
Dr.
of, like, you
Pepper a
can
review
feel
on
it.
our iTunes page.
So with this, I didn't have any of it.
Open them
And
up.
I'm always looking for
Drink
a good
'em.
toothbrush. When you go to the store, they're always like
Enjoy.
too hard. You notice
A
that?
delicious Dr. Pepper.
Tell me about it. I'm always on a constant look for the softest toothbrush possible.
So this is good. I mean, I honestly am going to use this. I think it's a great
and this
product.
is their toothpaste.
Starts at
Wow.
$25.
Wow. Did you hear that pause in there? She goes, and this is their toothpaste. What is that accent? I know she's Israeli, but like, Is that really how Israeli people talk? I feel like I've talked to Israelis before, and they didn't sound like some sort of breaking down beast / Mexican guy. And this is their toothpaste.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And I'm always looking for a good toothbrush. When you go to the store, they're always like too hard. You notice that?
I tell me about it. I'm always on a constant look for the softest.
Tell me about it.
So this is good. I mean, I honestly am going to...
Tell me about it. And then she like moves her lips over her giant teeth to wet them again. Her teeth are so big, they're always hanging out of her mouth, so she has to move her lip to wet them. Gotta wet my teeth. Oh, gotta get my teeth wet. Yeah.
I use this. I think it's a great product.
And this is their toothpaste.
Starts...
And this is their toothpaste. Starts
at $25. New brush included. Free shipping included. Go to getquip.com/H3. Help the show. Support it. This is a great toothbrush. I'm going to use this.
Me too.
Let's go. How was that? You guys buying this toothbrush?
Wow. Did they mean to leave that in? How was that? Are you guys buying this toothbrush? You buying this? You buying what I'm saying? I'm lying to you. Are you buying this? He literally said that. That's why I played it as long as I did. I wanted you to hear that part. I feel like they meant to edit this and forgot. Maybe the YouTube edits haven't processed yet. This is an over 3-hour-long video. It takes forever for YouTube to process even an hour-long video. My guess is eventually that shit will disappear from this video, but right now it's still in there, and we have now memorialized it forever. And remember, Dr. Pepper, you know, Daddy's medicine. Go check it out. Yet another way that for years now we've been mocking other shows. That's where the Dr. Pepper thing came from. How can you support the show? Who's our sponsor? It's Dr. Pepper. The way you can support the show is leaving a review for Dr. Pepper on our iTunes. It's just nonsense. It's just gobbledygook. That's why it's so fucking funny, because you listen to these other shows and they're doing it for real. We've been mocking this shit subtly. Man, I'm getting Ethan Klein disease here. Subtly for years. Hee-haw. I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for making fun of Hila especially, but H3 in general. People really like those guys. Like I said, stick to the world of YouTube. We're good, man. We're good. You know what? Just don't call it a podcast. That's all. You're not good at it. It sucks, dude. It really does suck. And maybe you don't like what I do. That's fine. That's fine. But I'll tell you this. At the very least, the people who do enjoy what I'm doing, I'm not just sitting here and doing nonstop ads to them for bullshit scam companies, okay? Instead, we built a pizza fund. We built from the ground up a bonus content section that you can pay as little as $1 for. And yes, this is an ad, but it's an ad for us. When you go to H3 Podcast, you don't go there loving electric toothbrushes. You go there loving Ethan and Hila. When you come to PodAWFUL, you love PodAWFUL. So all I'm advertising to you is how to get more PodAWFUL and keep PodAWFUL going. PodAWFUL.pizza. That's the pizza fund. It's our subscription-based donation system. It's our bonus content section. For as little as $1, you can get in there. We just did 2, count them, 2, there's the ad, 2, count them, 2 World Wars on pedophile Robert Robinson, ladies and gentlemen. We are finally taking him down. World War I, World War II, War on Pedos, War on Tiny Robert. I don't want to give too many spoilers. We're going to talk about it more in the after show later on. And by the way, you can get the video versions of the after show at the $6 level and up over at the Pizza Fund, PodAWFUL.pizza. Once again, those of you listening to the audio version of this, you get the audio version for free. I'll give that to you. But you don't get World War. You're missing out on World War. These were some good fucking wars. You're going to like them, including my actual encounter with the police during it. Live. Not live. But you'll see it. Actually here, outside my home. Me and the cops scheming. It's not a scheme. That's just how you report a crime. Yeah. Too much of a spoiler. Already gave you way too much of a spoiler. Already gave you way too much of a spoiler. $20 and up level for World War II. Go check it out. Look, again, as little as $1 gets you a ton of fucking content. I mean, a ton of content. $1 a month. Why not? Why not, huh? But go check out the different levels. See what's good for you. PodAwful.pizza. That's my ad. That's all I'm advertising. That and a t-shirt, okay? This is it. This is the only thing I'm going to advertise. We put out a new t-shirt. If you're into it, you're into it. If not, fine. I don't care. This, by the way, we barely make any money off of. I designed a new shirt. It's called the Bully the Internet shirt, the PodAwful Piranhas shirt. It's based on sort of like a hockey team logo. It's supposed to look like a hockey jersey. We've got a fish design drawn by my beautiful wife, Skylar. As you can see here, it says Bully the Internet, PodAwful Piranhas. It also is our first shirt with a back print, and it says PodAwful 911 on the back as if that's the jersey number. You can find this over at podawful.com/shirt. Podawful.com/shirt will take you to our Shirtsicle website, where it's got all of our shirts on there. This one's Bully the Internet. I recommend you get it. It's a very beautiful shirt. It's a very good design. I'm really happy with the way this one came out. And again, we will not make actually very much money off this shirt. This isn't really a money thing so much as it is I want the people out there, the piranhas out there, to have this cool merchandise if they're into it. You know, we call our listeners the piranhas now because we're always going out there bullying that internet, feasting upon the weak of the internet like a school of gnashing-teethed fish. It's weird that some fish have teeth, huh? Kind of creepy. Wait, who drew the design, the fish design? Looks like QPQ's work. No, again, my beautiful wife, Skylar, drew it. Podawful.com/shirt if you want to get that shirt. Go check it out. At least take a look at the art if you're listening to the audio version of it, right? And by the way, if you are missing out on the video version of this show or any show, you can check it out over at youtube.com/podawful. Subscribe to us there. We over within a day we shot up by 100 subscribers the other week, which was pretty impressive. So, and those of you who already subscribe to us, YouTube is bullshit. Make sure you're still subscribed to us. YouTube has a tendency to unsubscribe you. So head on over there and subscribe to us. Make sure you do. Those of you who only check us out on YouTube, a lot of people go, Jesse, I wish I could listen to you on the go. Well, guess what? We are a podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes or whatever your favorite podcast listening device is. All that kind of stuff. I don't give a shit. Anyway, I'm more interested in the live show, like I said. But the piranhas out there, if you're into the shirt, get the shirt. It's the only way to signify to the other people, watch out. We're going to bully the internet. And speaking of bullying the internet, I've got a brand new goon for you. I haven't left a lot of time in this episode. We might have to drag this out into our Pod After show. I want to introduce to you a guy I've been following for years. When you do a podcast like I do and you're low level like I am, you get wrapped up in these stupid fucking circles of podcasters, these little communities of podcasters. And I got wrapped up in this shit early on in the game where I got introduced to, there's this hashtag, I'm not kidding. There's a hashtag on Twitter called #PodernFamily. It's a play on Modern Family. I get that. What does that mean? Nothing, I assume. I get it. Puns are just puns. Hey, if it rhymes with pod, it's good enough. Podern Family. And there's this guy that uses this hashtag a lot that, from these low-level podcasters like me. They think this is a way to get exposure. It doesn't work at all. The only other people looking at it are also people doing podcasts. It's such a fucking cesspool, podcasting. There's this dude, been following him for a long time. His name is Adam Barker. He used to run the show called the Oddcast Podcast. Now he's got a show called the #NotListeningPodcast. Not Listening Podcast. What is the website for? I think it's notlistening.co.uk. He is an English guy. So I'm going to apologize. I'm going to play you his podcast right now. This is going somewhere. Trust me. This is big. This is goon level big, guys. I apologize if you don't understand British people. Neither do I, but we do have to listen to it a little bit. Again, Adam Barker, the Not Listening Podcast. His Twitter profile is Barker Podcast, I think. Let me see. Adam Barker. I've been following him forever. We're Facebook friends. He has no idea this is coming. This is years in the making. I'm not kidding. Yeah, at Barker Podcasts. Go subscribe or follow him right now, okay? His website is notlistening.co.uk. This is his podcast, one of many. He's one of these guys. People think my show is confusing because we do 2 or 3 shows a week. We have PODAWFUL, we have Cringe versus Cringe, we had Friday Night Hangout Exposure, all that kind of stuff. This guy has his own network of shows, and they're all called Not Something, Not Listening, Not Watching. He's got 1 million shows. He's got 15 websites, and all of this stuff is on Spreaker.com. Let me tell you something. If you're a podcast on Spreaker, you are not a podcast. Let's make that very clear. It's the same thing as not having a podcast, being a podcast on Spreaker. Take a listen to this.
The following podcast is intended for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Oh, yeah. He's raw and uncensored.
Nobody's listening, nobody wants to hear them speak. Nobody's listening, nobody's listening, nobody wants to hear them speak. Nobody wants to hear them speak. Nobody wants to hear them speak.
Thank you for downloading, streaming, or...
All right, that's Adam Barker's voice. So this is our guy, and this is going somewhere, I promise. I've been watching his Twitter for a while, and this man is deranged.
However it is that you listen to the Not Listening podcast. It's like it's supposed to be...
This guy has been doing podcasts for at least 7 years, I think. Maybe a little under that. Listen to how bad that audio is.
Like an echo, like... I'm Adam.
I'm Ash.
There's no Will today.
No. Traitor.
He's deserted us. For this episode and probably quite a few after.
Yeah.
He's not gone, it's just... He's not here right now.
He's scarpered to another podcast.
Yeah, see... Any of you new listeners?
I think they're recording this into a phone. I think the way Spreaker works is you call a phone number and then you just talk into it to record your podcast. I'm not kidding.
Is that here? Welcome along. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
I'm Adam. I'm the host. I do the editing. I post everything. I basically, without me, the podcast wouldn't exist.
So these are a bunch of lads from Essex. They sound retarded. What is it with that accent where they can't say R's at the beginning of a word? That's a speech impediment here in the U.S. Is that an accent over there? He's like, I edit, upload. Like, what is that? I can weed and white. What is that?
Because even if I said, well, I'm going to have a break, you and Will will be like, well, we're not doing it.
Well, when you had a break,
well, exactly.
we'd still meet up and talk. But...
When you had a break. A break? That's like what a retarded kid says. A child says that and then grows out of it, and if he doesn't, he's retarded.
We'd just not be bothered to put the mics on.
I have so much power over whether anything goes out. And there hasn't been a podcast going out for...
You hold the password.
The last month or so, I've kind of left it. Because, basically, I'm busy.
All right, so this is... Let's boil it down. This is a guy, 7 or so years in, he's still doing what I refer to as a pod kitchen. When, in fact, I have a roommate that does a podcast. She just did, she's moving out now, so I don't have any problem talking about this. She just recorded her podcast in my kitchen. These guys, I don't know why they think a kitchen is a good place to record a podcast or a dining room. I call them pod kitchens when they record them in there. They're low quality, and all they do is talk about the same bullshit nonsense all first-time podcasters talk about. These guys are years into the game. Years! And they're still doing it. And they're breaking my number one rule, which is talking about podcasting, which I've done this whole episode in order to mock it. See, it all comes around. The entire beginning of this show, I'm talking 10 minutes I was listening to this, and all they're talking about is what it's like podcasting and making podcasts and how one guy's doing a podcast, but they're also doing a podcast. Now, all of this is to tell you that I believe this man is a secret tranny. Okay, all right, hear me out. So, and we might have to go into the after show for this. You might lose this on the video version, guys. I might have to end this show. Let me just show you what Adam Barker looks like. This is a man with a family and kids, okay? I'm kind of blowing the surprise a little bit, but I have to jump on it because we're running out of time here. This is a man with a family and kids, and he's obsessed. He has a sickness that makes him act like a woman. Not the normal sort of trans thing. Now, this is your guy. He's a big, fat guy. But we're going to really break this down. Let's get real deep into this. This is a big, fat guy. I'm friends with him on Facebook. Here you can see this is a recent photo, June 5th. But there's a very interesting thing about Adam Barker. I'm insane. I collected all of these photos you're about to see before the show. There's a very interesting thing you're about to see with Adam Barker. Here's another picture of him with his baby. Dated fairly recently. You can see he's a big fat guy. And then, what is this? September 2016. Yesterday posted to Facebook and my likes and comments blew up. Apparently I was fat and nobody noticed, it seemed. So he starts posting a lot of... This is a man who posts a lot of selfies. Men don't take this many selfies. This is a disease in your mind if you take as many selfies. I'm about to show you how many selfies he takes. It is truly horrific what he's doing. Let's keep looking. So you see on the left, there's a picture of him as a big fucking fat guy. And on the right, looking fairly good, right? He's taking a selfie, which is gay as shit, but doesn't look that bad. But this is interesting. This was taken September 15th, 2016. The photo above it, where we confirmed he's a big fat guy, is November of 2016. After that photo, and you can clearly see he's a big fat guy. And of course, it dates the photo because it's when his baby was born. What's going on, you might ask yourself. Now let's keep looking. Here's his hashtag new profile pic. Is anybody seeing something weird? There's a lot of filters going on here, right? This is a very filtered man. A lot of filters. Now he goes on. He says, I've invented time travel. I'm now 10 years younger and a lesbian. Okay, why is he saying he's 10 years younger? I believe Adam is using the same apps girls use for their Instagrams that slims them and makes them prettier and have better skin and bigger eyes. The kind of shit that Asian girls use to post photos of themselves, where they blow up their eyes like saucers. This is a man, Adam Barker. Again, a man with a wife and children. And he is taking nonstop selfies. But it gets worse. Those of you listening to the audio version, you're going to hear what happens. If you want to see the pictures, you're going to have to join that Pizza Fund. This is not intentional. We ran out of time. Pizza Fund, $6 level and up. You get those video versions of the Pod After Show. Join it, PODAWFUL.pizza, and find out the insanity that is new goon Adam Barker. Until next time, have an awful day.
Head over to PodAwful.com/iTunes and subscribe to us on iTunes. We're live every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern at PodAwful.tv. Love the show? Keep it going by donating to the Pizza Fund. PodAwful.com/support. And anything else you need is at PodAwful.com.